Hi,
Hello,
Geoffrey.
hello, Margot. How are you today?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm really good. And today we will talk about public speaking. What's the purpose of public speaking?
Mhm.
And how it turns out when you learn how to speak in public.
Yeah, because and I am, always happy to meet colleagues of mine. And I really like your approach, which is very complementary to mine. We had this talk before having this conversation. That you are coming from a tech background, coming from a performance artistic background, and I think it can really bring to each other a lot. So I know a little bit about how you became a coach in public speaking, but I would like you to share it because I think it's very inspiring, first of all, and I think it gives a good idea on the extreme value of what you are bringing to the people they reach you for coaching. So, how did you become a coach in public speaking?
Yes, all right. So let's see the differences between myself, software engineer, and then public speaking coach, and you, Margot, artist, and then public speaking coach, and see if there are things in common or if it's completely different. It's big surprise is coming. As a software engineer, I used to spend a lot of time alone
Mm.
learning about tech, how it works, how I can build systems. It's a very alone process. You spend a lot of time alone on your computer, trying to learn, making mistakes. And the problem is, by doing that, I didn't take the time to learn social skills. So I used to have very good tech skills, but whenever it came to talking to people, communication, I was a complete disaster. So much that I hated those moments where I had to talk to people, especially if they were more than one. The problem with that is that soon I felt completely blocked in my career because I could see that if you want to evolve, you have to know more than tech. You need to be able to be good with people. I decided to learn those skills and to face all the fears that I had, because for me it was paralyzing. Just the thought of talking in front of people was paralyzing, but it was so intense that it drove me to learn. Years after years I faced all those fear, I learned, and I realized once I had this confidence to be able to talk with anyone, to be able to be engaging in front of an audience, it felt so great. It felt amazing. It felt a lot better for me than staying behind my computer solving problems. And it's probably due to the fact that I was such a disaster when it came to speaking and social skills,
Mhm.
that in contrast, by having them, I felt such freedom, such fulfillment. I felt like I was having an impact, something positive that I wanted to give on the world, that for me it became very obvious that I had now more to bring by teaching those skills rather than continuing my career in tech.
That's super inspiring. That's super inspiring and super, I think, courageous. I think to be aware of where we are. Like when you are using terms of it was a catastrophe, a disaster. You could have run from it. You know what I mean? You could have done a career in tech entirely, saying, "Okay, so I'm not good at that," and that's it. You could have gave up. And I think it's very courageous to face it and to say, wait a minute, I can maybe change it, first of all. And in changing it, what I understand from your experience, is that you went through such a resilience that it's not that you solve the problem of your nervousness, or like your public speaking. You went above it. You transform the mud into gold, if it makes sense. You know what I mean? It's not only that you cleaned up, the mud, it's you transform it in something so valuable and extremely valuable. I think this is why we connected so well, because I have to admit and also to share, to confess, maybe, that there is a similarity in the artistic world, because we are educated and we are trained to be excellent excellent in our field. So an excellent singer, an excellent musician, an excellent actor. But there is this stage fright that it's against it in a way. So we are very isolated as well. There is a lot of training that you do by yourself. Being a musician and an artist is a very lonely world as well. You are in front, you are in your little space, you're rehearsing room, and you are with your instrument and you are with your music, but you're alone with that. What I think is a difference between maybe non-artistic world and artistic world is that we talk about this nervousness. We talk about the fact that at some point when we're going to perform, we're going to feel nervous. It's a part of the game. It is a subject that is not hidden. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that what is similar with your situation is similar with your journey, is that I am an introvert person as a character. I never had in my family opportunities to speak up. It was not what I was asked to do. There was also a family pattern of don't speak too loud, or don't take too much space. You know what I mean? Like that, don't take the space of your brother and sister. There is a lot of things, behind that. And the thing is that I was never really prepared to stage fright until the moment I almost like some really messed up a performance that was a very high stake. And at this moment, I understood that there was really two sides of the performance. That was the content, but that was the performance in itself. And if I was only preparing the content, I would never be prepared for the performance. You know what I mean? Like there was really two sides of it. And as you did, the fact to overcome something that I was really bad at, meaning managing my stage fright, it gave me so much confidence, because I was such at a low level. I was so vulnerable. I was so losing so much of my skills and my talent and my expertise. So let's say in terms of numbers, maybe I was prepared 100%. And when I was coming on stage, I was losing maybe 60% of my preparation. And I was so frustrating, because I was presenting myself, but without making justice for myself. You know what I mean? It was the worst, like I know how to do it, but like just right now, I'm so under a stage fright that I can only deliver 40%. And
I can completely relate.
Horrible. What did you say?
I can completely relate, but not for the performance parts, but for the I know how it works. Mm-hmm. But whenever you ask me in the past, I mean, whenever you asked me in front of other people how it works or how I was doing it, I would just mumble and mumble and mumble. But I knew the knowledge was there, but somehow the moment made me become stupid.
Oh my God. Yeah. Absolutely. And as you described so well in your journey, the moment I had enough tools and enough experience to overcome stage fright, and I felt how much confidence not only it was giving to the artist I was, but also to the person I was. It brought me confidence on these two levels. I said, I told myself, I think this is the most valuable experience that I can share. And it was also crossed with the path of somebody who is very close to me, who is in tech, who came to my show and was telling me a sentence. I was sharing, oh, Margot, if I had only 10% of your confidence that you have on stage in my public speaking, my career would be totally different. And then it clicked. Then definitely it clicked that if I could bring that to another world than the artistic world, that would really, I was really thinking or feeling that it would help a lot of people. So this is how we became coach in public speaking.
I'm
Okay.
amazed by how it's similar but different at the same time. You practice for the performance, and in the case of myself and most of the people who work in tech, the knowledge is already here.
Yeah.
But whenever comes the moment to use it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're being watched by other people, it just disappears.
Yeah.
And it feels so frustrating to be in those situations. I
Mm-hmm.
could remember many times where I saw people who were more confident than me
Mm-hmm.
speaking up
Mm-hmm.
and thinking to myself, I could come with such a better explanation, a better reason, but I just can't because I lose my brain whenever I'm speaking in front of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So may I ask you, what do you think is the purpose and the goal in a public speaking coaching? So what, when you have somebody asking you help or preparation for a presentation or public speaking, what are your goals in your session? What are you aiming for?
There is one overarching goal that I'm setting for myself. It's not necessarily the goal that I tell my clients we will reach.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, they have a very specific goal. They want to
Mm-hmm.
be able to speak confidently, to be effective, maybe to be promoted or to get clients. But my own goal is to make them love it, because I know that if they find a way to speak that they love,
Mm-hmm.
nothing can stop them. They can do everything, they can fulfill their potential.
Mm-hmm.
Their If they love it, they're set for life. Because if you love it, it's not a matter of short-term success. You know that even if they fail a few times, they will continue and they will succeed. But if they don't love it and they face obstacles, then most likely they will have a hard time to pursue. So
I really love it. I really love it.
that's the big goal.
I really love it, and I think I've got a similar goal, but it's phrased slightly differently. What I can notice when people are coming to me and describing how they are experiencing their presentations, I see a lot of suffering, frustration, anger, sadness, and my goal when I'm always introducing the work with is like, you don't have to suffer in public speaking. This is not necessary. There is another way. So it's very similar to what you're saying. Like, if they love it, so they feel joy or they feel excitement or so they feel something, emotion that are uplifting, you know? So usually people, when they come to me, they had accumulated already bad experiences. and they're not totally aware how much they are suffering. And when I'm pointing out there is a preparation where you are going to let go this suffering, and there will be something else. You're going to enjoy it. You can say love it, enjoy it is exactly the same. But for me, it's really getting rid of this suffering that is not necessary, because the suffering is just, for me, a misalignment on what people want to share and the preparation. That's it. That's technical. It's not a question of competence. It's not a flow. It's really to demystify, I would say, the stage fright. Because to my understanding, and how I oriented my workshop as well, is that stage fright is not only, I would say, it's really not rational. It's really closer to a phobia than just a fear. You can fear, like eating too much to a lunch, or you can fear being late, or this is a fear. You can have some concern about it, but the stage fright is definitely a phobia, meaning that in a blink you can lose yourself. In a blink you can lose totally your preparation. As you said, like you can really lose the memory of everything of what you prepared, because it's a phobia. It's closer to a phobia. So it's irrational. And if you are preparing the presentation as if it was only a fear, it's not going to match. If you are preparing it knowing how irrational the phobia is going to come and to manifest, then you are prepared. So that's what I'm meaning by it's not necessary to suffer in public speaking. Even though you are not born to be a public speaker, or you think you don't have the character or the personality to be a public speaker, you don't have to suffer.
Yeah, I like to see it in this way. If you're suffering and in your same situation, other people are excited, it means that if you approach it differently, if you did it differently, you would feel the same excitement as them. So if you're suffering, it's not your approach is not right. It's not that there is a problem with you,
nope,
but it's the approach.
Exactly. So speaking of that, what would you picture as the key elements, if you had to summarize the key elements of your preparation? What would be the key ideas in your coaching? How could you summarize it, like in a shoebox, I would say?
Learn what lights you up.
Wow.
Do you want an explanation? This is very, if I just say this, it will seem very mysterious.
No, I'm just receiving it. It's powerful. Yeah.
It's you can be confident if you practice and practice and practice and practice, but then you go on stage and you have this chance of being paralyzed suddenly, because you never really know what will happen once you're on stage. And even if you're prepared, even if you have experience, it can strike you at any time. So that's why I don't believe that confidence should come only from preparation. There needs to be something underlying that makes you feel confident, even if you forget everything. And that works when you know what way of talking or what topics, what angle lights you up. Then you have a basis that even if you forget everything, even if you have a big bug, you still have this, and you're able to talk, and you're able to entertain people with your passion, with what's coming from you. And then you don't fear anything anymore, even forgetting your speech, because you know that you can just start to talk about something that you feel passionate about. It will relax you, and then you will go back on track.
Yep, that's very powerful. For my part, I would say, and this is coming from the artistic world. As an artist, I found my confidence understanding that the show that I was bringing on stage, I was not bringing a show I was doing for the first time. So let me explain. In the theater, especially, you have rehearsing moments. You are rehearsing the show 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So the moment the public is arriving for the first time, the moment there is a premiere, or there is the first time you are putting the show out in the world, the artist has done it in his body, in his mind, in his memory many times. And so when I'm preparing my clients to their presentation, we are preparing with rehearsals. So when they arrive to the moment they have to speak up in public, they already have done the presentation at least 3 or 4 times. In their head, of course, they don't need a public to do it. But this is, to my perspective, the best way to counterweight, maybe it's certainly a French word, but to compensate or to neutralize the stage fright, because the stage fright is going to come anyway. It is a very natural response to being in front of the public. It's going to come anyway. But because you would have done the presentation in your head, or at least the structure of it, many times before, it's going to sound familiar, and familiar enough that when you're going to start the presentation, you're going to match your expectation. Oh, I know that at this moment I'm going to say that. I know that at this moment I'm going to get to the other idea, and so on. It's going to sound familiar. You're going to find a form of comfort or a ground under your feet. And then you are going to start to relax and to breathe away, literally, your stage fright. So I think this question of rehearsal that I never heard before, or very rarely, for presentation in non-artistic world, I think it's a crucial key. The second one, if I had to summarize my workshop, is that when people understand that stage fright is displacing the attention on the wrong topic, on the wrong subject, meaning that when you are in a circumstances to communicate with people you feel comfortable with, you are focused on what you are saying. You are focused on what makes you inspired, right? You are focused on the subject. You know what you have to connect with, right? But when the stage fright is arriving, suddenly it's displacing to the question, am I good enough? Am I prepared enough? And then it's not the connection that matters most, it's more the validation. We are becoming obsessed with validation. And then you are asking a question on everything that comes from nowhere. Like, how do I carry my hands? How is my voice? Or, you're asking you a million questions that would never happen if you will feel in an environment that was familiar and comfortable.
Yeah.
So to summarize that, with the preparation and the key point of my workshop is to redirect to the connection and to soothe down and calm down the fear of not being validated. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I love that. It was the same effect when you said learn was light you up. I was just like, oh, I received it like I was very moved, by what you said. It was just like
I love how you you present your focus changes whenever you can either you can focus on the people who are there. How can I make sure that they have a good time, that they get value from what I'm saying, that so that it's meaningful for them. And this is a pretty good place to be.
Yeah.
But you can also say, think about, am I good enough? Am I the right person to do that?
Yeah.
Where do I put my ends? What if I forget my speech? This is a lot less constructive than focusing
Right.
on them.
Exactly. And we are losing the focus that is connecting and sharing. And it's just because the stage fright is coming, and the stage fright is just like is displacing the focus. And I would say I may have another question, because I think that feedbacks are a good indicator of what people can get from our coaching sessions, right? So what are the common feedbacks of your clients after a session? What is coming regularly or often in the feedbacks?
You mean what they get out of the coaching?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. What they are telling you after the session? Oh, this is what I got, or this is what changed first, or
yeah, the fastest by far is confidence. They tell me, oh, I gave this speech, I was confident, or I gave this presentation. Usually I feel anxious sometimes for days before giving my presentations, and this time I just went there confident. That's what comes the fastest, which is not surprising given the work that we are doing, because I like to show them that they can talk whatever the situation, and without tying this confidence to the preparation itself, but more how to frame the anxiousness or the stage fright that they can have in a different way. So confidence is the first, and after that we work on effectiveness. But it's nice that I'm actually, it's very surprising that confidence comes so fast, given that most of the clients, they don't want anything else at first. They like, if I can just be confident, that would be the best. And they're they're surprised to see that it's the first step, and it's after that the real work starts.
I think it's very very close to what I receive. So I would say the two words that are really coming very regularly is clarity and peace of mind. This is why I was talking about all the suffering and so on. The thing is that with time, if you are not prepared to public speaking and you are doing it nonetheless, you are really accumulating bad experiences, and you are really losing confidence. You are losing trust in yourself, how to present. Like it's really a cycle, a cycle or descending cycle. And it's hard to imagine how much people are really starting from a point they may naturally like doing it to really hating it. Like the range is very wide. And so when with the preparation, they know at least, oh, I know how to prepare myself. Now I know how to do it. Clarity comes first. It's just like, okay, it's not like from one day to another, I can do a TED talk, but it's so much clearer what I have to do. And I think the confusion, not knowing how to do it, knowing how to start, I think this is really the biggest burden they have.
So you mean it's clarity given their goal, they see and they understand what's the path to get there?
Exactly. What I had is like, oh, I was not aware how much I was complicating myself, or how much I was making it so much more complicated than it is.
For what result?
What I'm saying is that because they were accumulating bad experiences, they were creating a pattern where everything was so complicated. Even standing was complicated. Even holding hands was complicated. Even placing,
yeah.
you know what I mean? They were really entering a tornado of rippling effects. And when you are just like taking them with a certain distance and perspective of, you don't have to go to this path. There is another path where you can, first of all, be back to where you were at the beginning, where you were neutral. You were just like discovering your public speaking for the first time, or doing your presentation for the first time. It was not as complicated. It was not as painful.
So if I understand correctly, they get from what should I do with my hand? What should I tell them? How should I behave on stage? What should I say? All those questions turning in their head, a big conundrum, and they have no idea what to do. They come to you, and then you tell them, actually, all those questions, that's not really important. You should focus on this. And so then they focus on this. And then they get the clarity, and then, oh yeah, okay, I see.
And
that's
then
amazing.
and then the fog is disappearing.
Yeah. And they realize that all the problems and the questions that they wanted to solve, that wasn't the important stuff.
The important, and also they were self-creating it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that with the coaching, you take your responsibility, and you take your power back of, if I can do it, if I can mess up myself, and if I can create all those questions, I can also stop creating them.
All right. Clarity then. Yes.
So clarity is really the first. And as I said, yeah, clarity is the first, and peace of mind of, I don't need to be born to be a public speaker. I don't need to be passionate about it to make a good presentation and to have an impactful presentation. That's it also a peace of mind, that they don't have to be wired naturally for it, to become efficient in their presentation and even enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is more tied to the fear of perfection.
Yeah.
If it's not perfect, then I'm not gonna do it. But public speaking is a skill like all the other skills. It takes time and practice to get better and better. You never, when you first learn to paint, you will never paint a masterpiece on the first try. You will start by sketching and by doing some very very low quality drawings. It's the same with public speaking. You need to accept that when you start
the thing with public speaking is that I would say there is something that is a little bit sensitive. It can hurt the self-esteem much more than just doing a painting that you are not happy with. Because the painting, you are doing it in your room and no one is seeing it. So you are painting and you are doing mistakes, and there is no feedback, and there is no exposure to it. What is very sensitive and what is very not complex, but I would say subject to attention on public speaking is not to harm yourself, and not to bring yourself down with bad experiences. Because with the time, if you are exposed, it's the problem with the social media. You know, like you are posting something and then you receive a very nasty comment, it can hurt. You know, and with time, if you are not prepared for that, and if you cannot take the distance from those comments, at some point you are going to stop posting, you're going to stop sharing.
Yeah.
So this is the same with public speaking. This is a sensitive, and this is it needs bravery to keep progressing in this field. But there are so many tools there are so many possibilities to be prepared for it. So you are not getting hurt if the exposure is not a mind-blowing success. There is a way to protect yourself by the preparation.
And failing in places where there is nothing to lose. That's usually the best way to start.
And I love that, because you know the stunts in acting, they learn how to fall without hurting themselves. You see you see the metaphor.
You learn to as a way to see that it's okay.
Exactly, and to follow a certain way with flexibility, that okay, I can maybe at some time stumble, I can miss a word, I can forget data, but I'm going to be fine, and I can always get back on my feet anytime, any moment in the presentation. So
yes.
let's say, you know what, Geoffrey, I didn't think about it this way. This is the first time that happened. Thank you so much, because the conversation brought me to that. I think that the public coaching is the stunt preparation for speakers.
Stunt.
The stunt, you know, I think it's the right word, right? It's when you are doubling somebody who is falling in a movie.
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay, so there is somebody on the motorcycle, and there is an accident, and the guy is just like falling apart, like doing like a flying in the air and then crashing into a wall. But you have people stunts to do it, and they know how to fall. They know how to have an accident without harming themselves. I would say this is maybe the best metaphor for preparation for public speaking. We learn that we are going to skydive in a way, but we know how to get back on the ground any moment in the preparation, any moment in the presentation.
Oh yeah, and there is so much power in those type of preparations. There is an exercise that I like, and I used to do it sometimes. You know, because when you start to get comfortable speaking, I realized myself that I still had the fear of losing it. Like, okay, no, I start to get more confident, but what if next time I go on stage, or maybe this time, I just lose the spark? What can I do? And when I realized that, I went on stage one day and I started to tell the audience how I used to feel scared and paralyzed. And when I was telling them, I was wrapping myself, you know, like when you're really scared. And then I sit on the floor. I sat on the floor and I started to say, because you look so scary. And I look at them and I trembled and I could really feel this so bad. And then I got up and I symbolically broke the fear, you know, standing up and say, but then you break the fear and it's over. And what I found is that symbolically breaking the fear by bringing it and even making it bigger while you're on stage, and then to break it either by screaming or by doing something crazy. It feels so liberating. And then you know that even if you are feeling very anxious and very small, you have this experience of, I already broke it last time when I did the exercise. So it might be similar to your to the concept of failing that you.
Totally. It's totally that at any moment, with a great preparation, with a good preparation ahead for a presentation, even though you can start on the wrong feet, you can always change it.
I think that's a great word to wrap this discussion.
Absolutely.
Margot, before we end this, who do you help and how can we work with you?
So I help all type of background and all type of presentations. So people I'm working with, it's in one-to-one sessions, and it's online. People can write to me at Margot Sergent, M Sergent, PS, like public speaking, at gmail.com. Certainly, we're going to put it in the comment section after. But I work with all type of background and positions, from tech, finances, other artists as well, but also people they want in their everyday life to get more confidence in conversations. Because it could be in front of a public, but it could be a familiar conversation that is hard to have, and it's good to be prepared for that as well, so you can share what is the most important for you and what you want to fight for and to stand up for. And what about you, Geoffrey? How to reach you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, geoffreyhuck.com, and book a free call with me. I do one-on-one coaching online. Like, I'm mostly working with people in tech, CEOs, CTOs, or executives, consultants, and other leaders who are in a technical area, maybe not tech as computer development, but anything that requires to talk about complex ideas and concepts to an audience that might not have the background to fully understand what you're saying. All right, Margot, that was great.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. I mean,
Next
each time,
time,
there is really something that after a certain time of conversation, there is really clarity again, on the goal and what we're sharing and helping people to achieve. So it's thank you so much for the
thank
connection.
you. Honestly, I find it amazing that when you talk about your experience and then somehow I relate with mine, and it makes me see things that I'm doing from a different perspective. And it's really amazing when that happens, because I also get ideas and revelations during all discussions. And
Same.
so,
So
yeah.
likewise. Thank you so much, Geoffrey. Thank you. That's very precious.
See you. Bye
See you.
bye.
Bye.